I want to say for the past about 4 years maybe, the question's been really brought up by streamers. Is streaming harder than working a 9-to-5 job? A lot of people have been talking about it online. I would say the vast majority of the world do believe that working a quote-unquote real job, and that's what I disagree with, to be honest with you. Streaming and making YouTube videos absolutely 100% is a job. So there's things I agree, there's things I disagree, but we're going to take a look at a specific story today. We're going to take a look at a couple replies. I would love to know what you guys think about the whole situation down below afterwards. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I'm your guy with many YouTube channels. I want to start off with bringing you to where I actually saw this, and it was picking up a lot of steam online by Dexterdo. Working 37 hours a week is way harder than streaming. Twitch streamer Defran quit his day job after 2 weeks and will return to full-time streaming. So, of course, this brought a lot of different replies. A lot of people kind of making fun of him. A lot of people kind of saying like, oh my god, who could have possibly guessed, right? And I want to bring you, before we get into a couple replies, I want to bring you to the actual tweet that he posted over here. So, Defran had this to say: I quit my job. I lasted 2 weeks. Working 37 hours a week job is way harder than streaming. I am glad I tried it. Now I can appreciate how good I have at streaming. I will stream until I can't anymore. So I actually really like that somebody admitted this, because if he thought streaming was really hard, and it seems to be, he tried getting a, again, I hate to say this, getting a real job, because how much I disagree with that. Streaming absolutely 100% is a job. It's just, it's in bad faith, man, when people always talk about streaming like, oh my god, go get a real job. Like, I get that all the time, as if I don't have jobs outside of this. Like, as if on my YouTube channels right now, I'm making enough money to have it be a job. But I hope to have that be a job one day. So, regardless, it's really interesting to hear somebody actually say that they were wrong about this. They went to go work another job and then realized how good they actually have at streaming. And I love the idea that he said, again, I'll bring you to it. Now I can appreciate how good I have at streaming. I will stream until I can't anymore. Let me bring you to a couple replies. I would love to know what you guys think about these, because I only took a few replies for today. Usually we take a look at a little bit more, but a lot of people were just straight up making fun of the guy. But I think this is a really interesting conversation, to be honest with you. I want to bring you to a user by Mike Dro. On behalf of people who work 40-60 hours at any given week, yeah, we know. And to be honest with you, I can completely relate to this, and this is a conversation for another time. If y'all work more than 40 hours a week, you're getting scammed. We know, but life is expensive. But that's, again, conversation for another time. But, man, I have worked so many jobs in my life. I am 26 years old. I have a lot of experience in work. I've worked jobs where I work 12-hour shifts. I've had jobs where I'm constantly at work. At one point, I had no life because I was doing shift after shift at multiple jobs. So I understand what it's like to have the work life, and I also understand what it's like to have your typical 9-to-5 type job right now. I don't exactly work 9-to-5. I work a lot of 5:30s to 1:30s, things like that. But my job, the point is, I've had experience pretty well everywhere, and I'm doing my very best. And if you guys don't know, if you're new to this channel, and if you're watching the video, to be honest, you probably came over from one of my other channels. I have 2 monetized YouTube channels, and I'm working very hard to make that my real job. So I have experience in the workforce. I have experience having multiple jobs. I have experience with a 60-70 hour work week. I have experience with it all. So I always think that, and I don't mean to toot my own horn, honestly, but just me as a person, I believe I have a lot of credentials when I speak about this topic, because I've made a lot of YouTube videos on my Fortnite channel. If you're interested, Clen, we take a look at a lot of people. Like, for example, we made a whole video about Tfue when he was talking about, like, you have no idea what it's like to just sit here and entertain for 6 hours a day. We have made videos recently on Somerset when the internet was coming at her because she was talking about how hard it is to stream, right? So again, in saying this, I understand what it's like to do all of it. I make YouTube videos every day. I stream multiple times a week. I want to say, like, I try my best to do every other day. It doesn't usually work that way, but regardless, I am making at the very least 2 to 3 YouTube videos every day along with my real job. So again, which is harder? Obviously the work week. But the problem is, and we'll get into it a little bit more, but the problem is people are so quick to discredit streaming and saying that it's just easy, which is not true. It's not easy. It's not just sitting in front of your stream and entertaining people. It's very stressful. We can get a little bit more into that, but I want to bring you over to another tweet and reply over to it. So this is actually one going against it, and this is what a lot of people are actually saying. So a username by Nick Inchlall: I refuse to let this absolute turkey speak on behalf of us streamers. Streaming is one, if not the most difficult jobs in the current global market. I know military and Marine personnel who couldn't walk a mile in my shoes, and I'm comfortable making that statement on behalf of all streamers. Now, is this tweet bait? It very well could be. This is the problem. I know military and Marine personnel who couldn't walk a mile in my shoes. And it's also a problem that so many streamers have the ego to actually say something like that. So I don't know if this tweet was actually just bait, but you have people who legitimately believe what this guy is saying. that streaming is the absolute hardest job because you have to think of ideas, you have to remain relevant, you have to have the strong mindset to not have good videos. You have to have the strong mindset because you get hated on more than pretty much anybody. Like, it used to be like, oh my God, you work at McDonald's. That's probably like the worst thing that you could do, which again, I disagree with. But now it's like streamers. They receive all the negative comments. There's just a lot of negativity that comes with streamers, and they like to think that they have like the biggest, strongest mind out of all people that just completely works. So it wouldn't shock me if this tweet actually wasn't bait, but people go around and talk about streaming being more difficult than a 9-to-5 job. That couldn't be true. That absolutely couldn't be true. I don't care what mental strain you're going through. It's not the same as getting up and going to work a 9-to-5 and actually using manual labor and actually having to pay attention all day. At least with streaming, you can get a little bit of a break. You can eat. You're in an air-conditioned house. You know, you can get a little bit more into it. But I want to bring you over to one more reply before we continue talking about it. So, I've worked in multiple fields of work, and I'm here to say streaming is way harder than a 9-to-5. To constantly have to be engaging and entertaining your audience is one of the most draining experiences as a creator. Some streamers have it easy, but still. To constantly have to be engaging and entertaining to your audience, that isn't just like, that is something to do. And don't get me wrong, it is draining, it is tiring, but it is not the same as getting no sleep, getting up, having to commute to work, having to make your lunch, having to answer to people, having to always be positive. Like, people act like streaming is the only place where you have to sit around and be positive. Like, you can't go to work and just, unless you're like in a crazy union, you can't just go to work and just be a dick to everybody. Like, it's the same kind of thing. You have to just, in most jobs, you have to be engaging, entertaining, not necessarily entertaining, but you have to speak to people. You have to be there for people. You have to still put on a little bit of an act. I go to work and I put on an act every day. I am not myself in my job. The point being, guys, work is difficult no matter what it is. Streaming is difficult. 9-to-5s are difficult. And I think there needs to be a little bit of a conversation, a little bit more understanding on both sides, because the people who work day-to-day jobs and actually have to go somewhere, they do not care at all. They just look at people who stream and look at people who do YouTube and go, oh, they sit in a chair all day. You know, to some extent, it's true, but the mental drain is real. You have to constantly think of new ideas. You have to find ways to beat everybody. You have to find ways to beat the competition. You have to be more relevant. And if you have ever edited a strong video, that is one of the most tedious things you will ever have to do. For most people, some people like editing, but still, it's a different kind of mental drain. Yeah, you're not using your body, and that's why I ultimately agree that your typical 9-to-5 job is way more demanding. Using your mental brain is nothing like using your physical body and doing physical labor. You come home so tired after a big, long days of work. You have to be on your feet all day for most people. You got to think about the average worker, right? The average worker isn't sitting in an office. The average worker isn't just doing some bookkeeping. You know what I mean? The average worker is using their body. They're getting up. They're going to work. They're commuting. And so people don't have any sympathy at all when a streamer sits back and tells them, hey, my job is difficult. Is your job difficult? Absolutely. And people who work day-to-day jobs need to realize that. But these streamers need to be more like this initial guy over here. And I'm sorry, I minimized the size of the screen just a little bit. So anyways, I'm glad I tried it. Now I can appreciate how good I have at streaming. And that's true. You do have a good streaming. If you are making it as a streamer, you are making infinitely more money than anybody working a 9-to-5. You have, I don't want to say cheated the system, but you found your way out. You found your way out of this horrible cycle. And a lot of people who are stuck working 9-to-5s either don't understand the potential that streaming has, or they are just envious and that they're not being able to do the same thing and they have to go work minimum wage for a little bit. So there is a lack of understanding on both sides. There's a lack of caring on both sides. Both jobs are incredibly hard. Both jobs are real jobs. But at the end of the day, these streamers who talk about and complain, and this is what I don't like. I really don't like it when streamers complain a lot because they don't understand how good they have it. People oftentimes forget how good they have it. They need to take a step into the real world, just like DeFron did. They need to have some experience. They need to be grateful for the position that they're in. Do they have the right to complain? I guess so. But you're not going to get any sympathy from anybody online who is working with their body. It's just not going to happen. So I need I feel like the right thing to do is for the streamers to just be quiet and not complain about anything, because they do have it better. They do have it better. The vast majority of streamers have it better than somebody working. And that's just the reality of the situation. But again, there needs to be some balance on both sides. I would love to know what you guys think about this entire situation down below. Thank you very, very much for watching. I want you guys to check out this video while you're here. Check out this video on screen over here, because we take a look at another trending topic on screen. And I think it's a very, very interesting video myself. Check it out, guys. I will see you over there. Take care.